Hello friends, I am very excited because today I get to show off my long-awaited, beautiful liquor cabinet.
This will be a story about bottle storage and about how hobbies tend to expand and start to fill up your living room. And it's all going to culminate in this amazing looking liquor cabinet, so stay tuned. So this is my original liquor cabinet. When I first started getting into booze, it was mostly whiskey, and we would just keep the whiskey down in here. It still holds whiskey, as you can see, so that hasn't changed. And when I started getting into cocktails, it was around the time it didn't make sense to have a TV in the living room. We used to have one of those, big CRT TVs like everyone had, and we had this cabinet for it, which is it's a fine cabinet. I got rid of the TV and started storing booze in there. Mostly it was, it was cocktail booze. Now it's mezcal rum and a couple odds and ends. My friend Ronald made me this cool little shelf to go in there to hold glasses, which I had started collecting from the thrift store. So this worked out for a long time, worked out really well. But I got to be where I had too many bottles to fit into this cabinet. And that happened right around the time it didn't make sense anymore to have a bunch of CDs, because I used to have a lot of CDs, and now Spotify and everything else, you just don't need them. So I started using the CD shelves to hold the liquor on there. And even that turned out to be not enough space. And so it made sense to maybe do a liquor cabinet. Now, the other element to this is that I would normally make cocktails in the kitchen, which actually worked out fine. There's a space in there, and it's near the sink, etc. But during certain times, like namely Thanksgiving, there's a lot of action in the kitchen. It doesn't make sense to make cocktails there as well as do all the turkey cooking and whatnot. And so it made sense to create a space to not only store the bottles, but also to be able to make the cocktails outside of the kitchen, especially at Thanksgiving. This is the space we had. It's sort of a weird space because the angle of the wall there isn't 90 degrees. It's more like 120 degrees. But this is the space in the house we have available for the liquor cabinet. And it's pretty close to the kitchen, so that's good. This is the setup I had for this past Thanksgiving. It's, it's not great. I am sure that we can improve on it. And I think that we have. This is the main cabinet. After a long design process, we came up with all of this. It has a little speed rack so I can get to the most frequently used bottles right away. It also has this cam that holds the drawer open at this exact distance to keep me from having to open and close it all the time. If I need something from the back, you just pull the drawer open and the cam rolls out of the way. And then when you close it again, it plops down and prevents the drawer from closing. Time to shut it, you just lift up that little lever and off you go. Pretty sweet. Down below here is more storage for bottles, handles, unopened vermouth, backup bottles, my ice bucket, some odds and ends. These drawers close real smooth, which is cool. This upper right cabinet is for bitters. I've also storing my mixing glass and shaking tin in there. This one will close like a dream as well. And then below is storage for the bar mats, the cutting board, the Lewis bag, and some extra mixing glasses, odds and ends. Now, in a perfect world, we would have running water, and but that wasn't really practical, and a refrigerator wasn't really room for that. But so we do have this dump sink there where melted ice and whatnot will drain into this little skinny trash can we bought, and I can dump that out at the end of the night. So that's a pretty good compromise. Cool. So installing this thing was a whole procedure. We had bottles in our living room for months. But he had to make this platform so to help level the thing before he attached it to the wall, because it's attached to the wall and only has 2 little feet in the front. He also had to trim off the back part of it to match up with the wall, so that when he screwed it on, it would meet perfectly with our screwed up 100-year-old walls. This little piece of trim holds in the mirrors, and those little screws are hidden by the shelving. This triangular sink was a little finicky to get in as well. So let's just go over some of the good features. I've got this 3-tiered system for holding the bottles on top of the bar. This will be for the most commonly used bottles and the good looking ones. Got these sweet looking glass shelves to hold glassware and whatnot. More glassware and these nice coop hangers. What do we call those? Glass hangers. Here's the dump sink. Again, no real room for running water, but this drain board was custom cut, which is pretty cool. This is the design we decided on. Put these suction cups up on the to hold my strainer and peeler, which I thought was pretty cool. This beautiful wood came from a place called Gobi Walnut here in Portland that salvages trees and replants trees for all the ones they salvage. This whole cabinet was made by a fella named Matthew Peterson. We had a chance to go out to his shop and check it out. It's pretty cool. He's got this giant, awesome computer-controlled table saw. Here is the rough cut walnut before it gets milled up into these boards, which then turned into our dope-ass liquor cabinet. Okay, thanks for watching. If you watched to the end, you now have a lot of information about my liquor cabinet. If you could subscribe, I would really appreciate it. It helps me out. Okay, that's it for this one. We'll see you next time. Bye!